Hello, everybody, and thank you all for watching, and welcome back for another episode of Crossing Darkness. We're doing Season 2, Episode 1. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout. Today I have with me my co-host, Rory.
Hi, everybody.
So we're switching up things a little bit this time. We've been off the air for quite a while now. We're really excited to come back with a new format this season. We'll be broadcasting over Twitch. Sundays 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And we'll be open with chatting with the fans during and after the show. Um, so one of the major things that we're going to be focusing in on this season and specifically this episode as well is going to be the reboot of our Madison Under Siege setting. So we're going to kind of go over some of the stuff that we have done so far and um, talk about what we are going to be doing moving forward into the future. So,
Yeah,
Rory,
so,
go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Moto Rory, and I'm one of the other GMs on the Madison Under Siege project, uh, which started, 5, 6 years ago now? I can't
Um,
even remember.
it's been a while.
Uh, in the years 2016, 2017, and 2018, we ran significantly large games at Gen Con that were well received. The basic mythos of Madison Under Siege is that the existence of a supernode in Madison, Wisconsin, created the coming together and alliance of four supernatural groups: the werewolves, vampires, mages, and later on the hunters, in order to conceal and then use the power of the supernode for their individual uh, goals. Uh, at some point, we fought something really big. I think that was Gen Con 2017. Was that the last big one?
2018, I thought, was our last big one.
2018?
I believe so. I'd have to double check, but I think 2018. Because I think it was
This,
2016, 2017, 2018. We did 3 years.
well, 2019 was the last Gen Con we went to, and I feel like we had 2 years where we didn't run stuff. You ran the 10-person tables the previous year, so that must have been 2017 or 2018 rather. Well, regardless, that probably doesn't matter now.
Anyways, yeah, we'll
Um,
go over that later.
it seems strange because it's such a significant event in our lives, and we can't even remember what year it happened. So,
Oh, it's just a blur, though. I mean, that was the
yeah,
whole thing. It because I mean, we did 4 tables at Gen Con.
oh,
It was our first game was an 8 hour day or 8 hour game. Wasn't it? It was an 8 hour.
no, it was 10 hours
Was
with
it
10 players each.
2 o'clock to midnight? Wasn't it?
Yeah, and the whole point of it was it gave us 100 game hours per GM, which the whole point of that was to get a free hotel room, which technically
Or
worked.
200 hours from doing that. Yeah, that was a
Oh yeah,
burnout
it was
though.
200 per
But it was like this
because we did it
huge.
2 days in a row.
So it was 10 people per table in one big room, and everybody could kind of communicate with each other during downtimes. And we did like 3 downtimes, big political stuff and murders.
Yeah,
Everybody
we called it
investigating.
tabletop LARP because it was a combination between the two, tabletop and LARPing. People really enjoyed it. We wrote a lot of backstories for a lot of characters, and it's been a few years since we ran it. So now we're kind of re-exploring what to do with that mythos, and because we're not going back to those styles of games. Also, the pandemic. We're not going to conventions, so that probably moves us into our next topic, which is the new game that we're running on Twitch on Mondays. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Josh?
So yeah, on Sundays or on Mondays, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., we are running Technogate, which is a Mage the Ascension um, technocracy game. So, lots of inspiration from Warehouse 13, lots of inspiration from um, Stargate for sure. We're just having fun. Um, we're gonna be, we kind of have like an epic arc that's going on. That is the, hunting down of Muddin, a man who is a Nefandi who's trying to summon Cthulhu. Although that characters have learned more about what he's actually trying to do now. Um, and so there was, the first two episodes that we have are kind of big epic arc, start you off, kind of jump you right into the ocean of what's going on. And then the next couple episodes that we're going to be doing moving forward, we're going to try doing like a more episodic kind of TV show. You can kind of just drop in whenever, skip episodes. But you're going to kind of want, to get all of the epic arc, you kind of got to watch them all because there's little tidbits of the epic arc going to be spread throughout everything.
Yeah,
But the main feature of the show will be that it's episodic, so that if you do jump in and you don't want to care about what's going on in the epic arc, you can kind of just jump in for a show.
yeah. And I think you did mention it, but it is a technocracy game. So I am playing in that game as Tycho Vance, a void engineer. Um, the game is set in Madison, Wisconsin. What year did we settle on?
It's 2008. So it was July in 2008 when we started. I think we're into October right now.
Wait, I thought it was late '90s.
That's just 2008. God damn. Uh, Time flies, man. 1998.
Okay, yeah. So 1998. Yeah, so I'm playing a void engineer who grew up at the Construct. We've got our friend. Right. Before we get permission to use actual names, her Discord name is Jessie's Meowth, and she's playing Phaedra, a soon-to-be progenitor who has been hunting Muddin for years, and actually a brand new player to the World of Darkness. His Discord name is Brew City Bastard, and he is playing Robert Kell, a New World Order. No, sorry, I keep fucking that up.
On doing
It's
that.
Void Engineer. He works in the Void Engineer department of psychological. It's the shrinks.
Yeah, basically the people that when there's you go out and hang out in the Umbra and you come back, he like they psychoanalyze you to make sure that
Yeah.
you're not all fucked up from the whole experience.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we actually did play how many sessions of that game with another player, and then a few other sessions with our current lineup, and we had some technical difficulties. So there's at least one episode that we completely lost. So because we only recorded your voice, and then I think we've got the audio for a bunch of the earlier ones. So we might release those one day.
Yeah.
Hello?
No, I can hear you.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else we could talk about in terms of Technogate.
Well, it's one of the big things that we want to make sure we talk about is that it's a live stream that we do on Twitch. So
Yeah. I think currently we're going with video off, but we might change that in the next few months.
yep, and it's just it's something that we're playing around with, and we'll do more with it, going forward and see. But it's going to be inside of the Madison Under Siege setting that we are kind of building right here. So players do have some inside information as to the world that they're playing in. I'm really open to players knowing, having access to the setting, just like I'm open. I like using the World of Darkness setting because there's so much setting information that you can read out there, and I don't mind all my players knowing a lot of that because we're gonna, always during games and as a GM, you're on the fly, you're gonna change things up a little bit here or there to throw things off, especially if you know your players know a bunch of stuff. And it's, just because they read something in the book doesn't make it 100%, or hearing it on this stream doesn't necessarily make it exactly 100%. So,
Oh yeah, no, you've done that to me in other games where, like, we replayed something and you just completely changed something up. So I was expecting one thing, and uh, I was still surprised, despite the fact that it was a replay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So that's one of the big keys there is just to get the information out there, work with, and a lot of this podcast is going to be about world building and concepts, and just kind of putting it to, uh, instead of being theoretical with it, we're gonna actually we're doing it, and this is going to be
Yeah.
stuff that we're going to use moving forward at our games. Probably not going to do the 40-person, four-table games moving forward, but we are going to do individual games of 4 to 5, 6 people, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Before we move on to plans for new games, I just wanted to get back a little bit more into Technogate. What's the? Let's just tell everybody, like, what's the general idea of the technocratic construct in Madison? Like, who's all there and why?
We might also want
Oh,
to talk
and where?
a little bit about what the technocracy is in general,
Oh yeah, I
and
suppose.
Mage the Ascension, and World of Darkness. It is episode 1. Um, so let me just give you like a general overview here. We've got, you know, World of Darkness. We'll start with here, and the game settings that we're playing in is basically our world, except for darker with supernatural creatures behind the scenes, kind of running everything. Um, and they take our history and kind of twist it and torment it. And there's 3 major factions in the game, which is werewolves, vampires, and mages. And then there's a bunch of sub factions underneath that. So we've gone with werewolves, vampires, mages, and Hunter the Reckoning, which, you know, to some of the degree of Hunter the Reckoning doesn't really come in until the year 2000 or so. 1999 is about when they appear. Um, so definitely a uh, game that is not going to be in every one of our settings, because like in my Technogate it's not really existent yet, but there we do have some mythos about how Hunter kind of does exist a little bit, but on a very small scale in a weird way.
Yeah.
And that stuff we might
In
change up. So
1998, in 1998, the Hunter Academy does exist, but it doesn't have nearly as many members.
no,
It's
it shouldn't even have hardly any or none at that point.
I'm taking some liberties with how long hunters have been around, since I am in charge of the hunter mythos.
That's true. I mean, and that's kind of the stuff too, is that we're definitely open to manipulating stuff. And yeah, so Motorori is the one who kind of has done most of the work on Hunter. Coder did a little bit of it back in the day.
Yeah, he had a really good, a nice solid foundation for me to go off of,
Absolutely.
and I used a lot of it. I also added too much.
um, so yeah, so we're gonna kind of go back and reboot and refix a lot of this stuff. We're not necessarily going to be handing out, this is your lone project these days. We're kind of just working all together and kind of building this up. Mainly me and Motorori. Um, but in any case, so yeah, so that's the World of Darkness. I guess is what I was talking about. So the World of Darkness in general is all about vampires, werewolves, and mages for the most part. There's hunters and other changelings and other things like that. So for the most part, we're going to be focusing in on these four groups, though. Um, there's lots of books about them. It's an RPG tabletop game. They've got some good video games out there. They've got a huge LARP community that's out there. And White Wolf just got kind of revived a little bit, but there's also Onyx Path does a lot of World of Darkness type games, where it's Chronicles of Darkness. So, but in any
Yeah.
case, down from there, then the game that we specifically are playing for Technogate is Mage the Ascension. So Mage the Ascension is all about will workers, basically people who manipulate reality and bend reality to their will, based upon how they see how reality is. And then it's a game about looking at reality differently. The main factions in it are the traditions, which are your older factions of mages, basically. So you've got like a Hermetic Order, the Dream Speakers, the Virtual Adepts, stuff like that. Basically, you've got like old wizards and shamans and Native American type um, cultures and stuff like that, and how they see the world, how they saw reality. And then Technocracy is the group that is basically all about uh, advancing technological advances over magic instead of using reality bending stuff, which they still actually do. They focus mainly on technology, and enhancing and using all of their reality bending through technology.
Yeah.
Um,
And the technocracy does do magic in the same way that the the other mages do. They just
Never
look
really.
at it as they think what they're doing is called enlightened science.
Right.
And they don't like mages because mages do things that shouldn't be possible according to science. It it can get it can get difficult to wrap your head around what exactly the technocracy is trying to do. Um, but regardless, they have something called a construct in Madison, and that's where the Technogate program is, where we're playing this game. So why don't you go into like what the Technogate program is and why it's here?
Sure. So the Technogate program is basically the. I mean, to be honest, it's just me kind of ripping a lot of stuff from Stargate and just kind of like seeing that as kind of an interesting concept, but kind of changing it and manipulating it so that it fits really well into the technocracy in the sense that there's like an underground bunker facility, a huge one that has like capabilities of housing like starships and stuff like that and doing repairs on them and drop offs. And what it is it's a gigantic super gate that basically that exists underneath Madison's airport, in this hidden bunker, and it allows them to use it as like a teleporter to get from place to different places throughout the Umbra. It also can be used to connect to other places on Earth as well, other constructs. Um, and the idea behind it is though that basically they're the thing they focus on the most is going out into the Umbra and exploring the Umbra and learning about the Umbra. It's very um, Stargate-esque, but it's older. It's been around for longer. It's very different from Stargate in the sense there's not the Goa'uld or the whole storyline behind that is completely different. Our storyline is more about corruption and Nefandi and mages that are and technomancer, technocratic individuals that are corrupt and what they're doing, and the overarching story of the world of darkness, but kind of having that heavy influence from Stargate, basically.
Oh yeah, and who doesn't want to play in a Stargate game?
Right.
Although
um,
I'd rather play it in the World of Darkness mythos rather than the Stargate mythos.
yeah, Stargate mythos is interesting, but I really like the world of darkness mythos over it, so that's my.
Yeah. So I guess the only thing I would add to that is join us on Mondays at 7 p.m. to follow the adventures of Tycho, Phaedra, and Robert Technogate Team 42. And if you've got nothing to add, we can move on to ideas that we have for Gen Con games going forward.
Yeah, so
Since we're not going to be doing the large 40-person tabletop LARPs anymore, what's your first idea?
so my first idea really here is going to be I'm gonna want to do some rehashes possibly of and reboots of the game that we already played on a smaller scale. Basically, instead of doing all 40 players at once, I might just do 10 players, and I've done this a couple of times at other conventions as well. Is just do 10 players for the mage game on day one, play a 4-hour game, um, and then just do that for each one of the factions. A werewolf game the next day, a mage game the next day, a hunter the reckoning game the next day, um, and then that kind of will be the focus of what I kind of want to do at conventions until we kind of get things a little bit more solid as to because it's easy, you know. I can kind of take I've got all of the work that we've already done. We've got character sheets and stuff like that. So I've been doing 4-hour games basically of I've been focusing, I believe it is on our year two. I want to say year two or year three um, game because I have all the character sheets and really nice, um, bindings and I've got all the information there. And I mean, we're talking like 8-page character sheets, stuff like that.
I think the longest backstories we ever had was maybe like a page long, single spaced. But yeah, we made
Well,
gigantic packets that one year.
yeah, they're big giant packets. They have a bunch of they're 4 pages of the character sheet and then the background story and then who
Yeah.
you knew and what was going on, what your political views were and stuff like that. So I'm kind of just taking those and kind of remaking them a little bit, editing some things here and there, um, and updating them for that, and kind of playing with people that some people sometimes might know, might have been in my other games, but like I've done with Mike, I've changed things up um, when I do stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's my kind of goal moving forward right now, is to kind of take the easy route when we go to these kind of conventions and kind of do stuff that we have really solid, cool stuff for already, that we've invested a lot of money in and we've already done quite a bit. I keep on pointing over at my bookshelf over here that's got all like my stuff. Um, but basically, um, my so that's what I plan on doing. What is your ideas?
Okay, I've got 3. So if you want to interrupt me in between some of these, just go ahead. So the first one is LARPs. So taking away the tabletop aspect of what we did before, um, LARPing can be really weird, and I didn't like it until I found a company called Kettle of Fish. I had seen their events in catalogs, especially at Origins, for years. I tried other LARPs, didn't like them. I stopped by at one that you played in at Gen Con a while back. It was one of those really big World of Darkness ones,
Hmm.
and didn't like that. But these Kettle of Fish guys, so just to get into it really quickly, they just write up like 50 to 60 characters, and the characters are like 2 paragraphs. It's not even long. You just come in, you get a character, and they let you loose for 2 hours, and that's it. As GMs, they kind of like adjudicate things, and kind of like if there is a story to be told, they make sure the events happen. But the way that I've described it to people who don't LARP is, it is 2 hours of madcap craziness. and it's super fun. And I would love to replicate that inside the World of Darkness, um, Madison Under Siege mythos. I know Jessie's Meowth is also down with that because she's played in a few of those LARPs with me. Um, so yeah, so LARPs and LARPs are also relatively easy to put on, as you get a bunch of people, but you don't need a lot of GMs or a lot of prep because you're literally just giving people 2 paragraphs. This is your character. Here are your goals. Go. So it's kind of a low cost, high reward kind of thing. The only thing is, not a lot of people want to play LARPs, so it's kind of hard to get them in there. The other 2 are live plays and a living campaign. So live plays, it's kind of like what Critical Role does. They do a live session at a convention. They sell tickets. I'm pretty sure we won't be able to sell tickets. We're probably just going to have to make it a panel.
Yep.
But I fully expect the next Gen Con or Origins we go to, it'll just be, hey, live Technogate session. And it'll be half, like, if you're a fan of it, you can come to it, or if you've never heard of this stuff and you need an event to go to, it'll be 2 or 3 hours long, and it's just us playing Technogate, but at the convention. And I really like those. I think they can be really fun. And the last one is Living Campaign, which is, if you're familiar with D&D Adventure League, Pathfinder Society, it's not exactly like that. If I do ever do it, it's going to be based off of the Heroes of Rokugan, Legend of the Five Rings game that has been running at Gen Con for over 15 years now under different management from time to time. I played in lots of those games, and I had a lot of fun, and it was great, a great community, and I'd love to do that. My current idea for a living campaign is Hunters. I've already got some large arcs sketched out, but I just got to put the work in. But if I can, I think it would be really fun. So, living campaign inside Madison Under Siege.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome. I definitely play.
Any other ideas for conventions that we would do that come to mind for you?
Not really at this point in time, and I mean, we're coming up on about 28 minutes right now, so
yeah, we got to wrap it up here. Other conventions. So real quick, Origins. I go to Origins every year. Other than that, I used to go to 2 smaller conventions for the Legend of the Five Rings stuff. I have since stopped going to those, so I'm open to go to other conventions. And then our local one, Gamehole Con in Madison, Wisconsin. Definitely have to have a presence there.
yeah, and then Midwinter.
Oh yeah, forgot I didn't go this year.
So that'll be those will be some of the conventions that we'll be hitting up. And then I think what we're going to do is wrap up the episode here with Tycho, with Motorori doing some, he's going to go over some lore and NPCs that he's created for our setting here. And then I think what we'll do is open it up to see if anybody has any questions. And if we don't have any questions, we'll kind of end the episode there.
Okay. Yeah, so I've had this idea of wrapping every episode of the podcast with your new NPC or lore that you want to add to the Madison Under Siege mythos. I literally typed this up just before the episode, so if the grammar is off, I apologize. Thomas Cade. After a series of missteps and tragedies, Thomas Cade became a Fomor, a bane of one of the Urge Worms. He spent several years serving in the Army of the Worm under the direction of a cult leader in northern Michigan. Several years ago, Thomas was sent on a mission to Mexico to assist a hive of black spiral dancers in an attack on a cairn they wished to corrupt. Unknown to them, however, the cairn at the time was host to a very unusual gathering of werewolves and hunters. Most of Tomas's companions were slaughtered and ran away, but Tomas had been injured early in the battle, and no one found him till much later. The person that found Tomas was a young child of Gaia, who hid Tomas away for several days, and with the help of her new friends from the Hunter Academy, were able to excise the bane from Thomas's body and soul. In order to survive, in order for Tomas to survive, they had to fill the hole left by the bane that had been removed. In an act of courage and perhaps stupidity, the young Garou called on a fox spirit who found the prospect to be a curious one and agreed. Because of other problems, Tomas needs regular care from both the Garou and the hunters. He has been placed in a small town in southern Wisconsin where they can check up on him frequently. The interesting thing about Tomas now is that he still has a connection with the Bane that was once connected to him. And through that, the Bane's new host, who just so happened to return to the same cult. Tomas now regularly sends reports to the Hunter Academy with vague, almost incomprehensible descriptions of what he has seen. But don't discount his reports. They have saved many of our allies in the past. All right, so that is Tomas Cade.
Nice. So, is there any specific ideas you have for using him in our setting?
Well, definitely for modules, right? Because at any time, Tomas Cade could send basically a vision. It's, this is what I saw, this is what they might be doing. He's basically an intelligence asset. He's also open to, if players, again in the living campaign, need to infiltrate that cult, they'll be told about this guy and they can go talk to him. He might also have some very valuable experience to tell players about what it's like to be a Fomor, or I don't know, Fomori is the more known term. Fomor is the singular. Although I don't know if there are any rules in the books for undoing a Fomori. So I kind of came up with that. The idea that he is still connected to a spirit, but it's not a bane. I don't know if that's even legal in the systems, but I don't know. It made sense to me at the time.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the thing that it's complicated. The world of darkness is complicated. The more that you add into the world of darkness, the more complicated it gets. And the concept of doing what you want to do instead of being held down by all the crazy rules that are out there. Do what makes best for your game, I think is the big thing there.
Yeah.
So if things are wrong, well, they're wrong, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's not your world of darkness or the world of darkness. It's our world of darkness. Like the Madison under siege. It's a world of darkness. Yes.
Yeah. Even we disagree on some of the canon that we've come up with.
Total.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll
had
have to do
5 GMs, 6 GMs.
We'll have to do a special episode one day about that mini campaign that I ran in Chicago.
Right.
Years ago.
But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and I think start wrapping it up here. I'm gonna kind of leave it open here though, real quick. Give it a minute or so for if there's anybody that's watching. If you're in chat, you can go ahead and post any questions. If people are responding and stuff, we'll go beyond a minute, but we'll wait a minute or so here to see if anybody has any questions, any comments, any concerns, any picking up my kitty. That's a request, but my cats are in there. Let's see.
You did say that was me that requested that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but see that kitty house, castle that we have for them. That's
Oh,
for
damn, I haven't seen that yet.
yeah, it's this giant thing that Joanne made. But basically, they're both sleeping on it right now. One inside of one of the little rooms, and the other
Yeah.
inside of the. So
That's just one of them was right behind you for most of the stream. So
yeah, Janeway was hanging out behind me quite a bit.
yeah,
But yeah, so doesn't look like we have any specific questions this time around. But if anybody does when we do these, we'll open that up. All right. Well,
yeah.
thank you all for watching, and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.